divine love and light to all of you. This today's video is in relation with the abuse. I'd like to speak a little bit on abuse, especially the sexual abuse. Abuses are of different kinds. There's like physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Abuse, we term it as anything that is done against your free will. Anything that is intrusive of your free will and your personal space against your wish or intention, that is known as abuse. So various forms of abuse. I have also undergone a lot of physical and emotional abuse all my life, especially in the childhood aspects, and I know how the trauma is, how deep it is, because it took me almost a lifetime to get rid of most of those traumas. They are very deep rooted because they are psychological, and I couldn't understand it for almost my whole life, what was troubling me or what was causing so many issues in my life due to those traumas. Now, I had made a small video on the habits of masturbation and the sexual urges and all that, and last month or last week or something I had posted it, and immediately I got a couple of messages, people either appreciating about it or wanting to know more about it, or providing information or their own life experiences with the topic, and it was helpful. Thank you for all your messages for that, and thank you for liking the post, also the video on the subject, because these are taboo subjects these people do not openly speak about. I believe it is very important for people on the spiritual path, at least, because this is where we are talking about releases. We are talking about getting rid of all the unwanted muck that we have in life, and this is one particular thing, the abuse, trauma. It's very deep rooted. So I thought, let me make, and what actually prompted me to make this video was one email that I got from one seeker. Was a very touching kind of a message, and it was again seeking some kind of a, not directly asking me, but it was some kind of acknowledgement of a deep trauma within her, and that video on that sexual urges which I had done, that helped her in some way. And the message was something like this. Of course, I'm not taking anybody's name, I'll just keep it undercover. It says, Jacob Ji, I wanted to thank you on your deep understanding on sex and its role. It will help me to heal a situation with rape. Maybe now I can find the compassion to heal this. Furthermore, find compassion for those who cannot control this urge. I know Gurudev sent you to help me. Thank you. It's a very sweet letter from one person whom I've known on the internet for long. It was not a shocking thing to me or something, because more or less all my life and more or less on my journey on the spiritual path, I have met a lot of people with all kind of traumas, and somehow people have opened up to me. I don't know how, but and because of their opening up, I could somehow provide some kind of a support, and it was more of a learning journey for me also, understanding these traumas and how people take it firsthand, and being able to look at it from all angles and then provide some kind of a solution. So most of the solution that I came across, people who said something or the other and I was talking to them, was very spontaneous. It was not from anywhere. It just flowed out, and I could understand that whatever flowed out was helping them in some or the other way. So that is how I gained the courage or confidence to speak about these things openly or directly to them. One such incident I would like to mention is when I was in Palampur a couple of years ago. I had gone there for a rejuvenation program, and I was there for closely 1 month in Palampur, Himachal Pradesh, and there a lot of people had come, especially the big shots. They were there for some kind or the other kind of treatments. Many were undergoing, seeking some kind of medical treatments for their ailments, physical ailments, or emotional or mental ailments. So something like a deep arthritis or multiple sclerosis or depression, all these diabetes, all these kind of chronic ailments and all that. So I was very shy, and because I had gone there for rejuvenation, like something like the physical cleansing and panchakarma and all that. And thanks to Ishan Bhaiya for that. And I was staying for a long time there, away from the crowd, because I was meditative and because it's a beautiful place to meditate. I was actually rejuvenating there. But then somehow again we bumped against each other, a lot of people on the dining table or on the table tennis court, because I was playing there. I love TT, and we made a lot of friends there. And during some cross sessions that we used to have with the doctors there and all that, or some counselors and all that. So I was getting a very good understanding of what kind of people, all the different kind of people coming there for all kind of relief. But most I could see was abuse. Some or the other way they were abused, though people don't know that they are abused. Because most of the thing, like we when we call abuse, we think it's only sexual abuse. It's not that. There were people who were deeply abused emotionally also and physically also. Assaults of all kind. It could be a physical assault, it could be even emotional assault. People who have had prolonged life under that kind of a stress, and they do not know. So they come with a lot of ailments or a lot of other issues in life, and then they come and they talk to counselors. And I was looking at the doctors and all that. There were all kind of doctors there, and alternative doctors from homeopathy and Ayurveda and natural other modalities, but nobody was able to actually address to that root cause. And they were treating the symptoms again some or the other way. And maybe people don't open up. But I was very surprised when I came across people who were opening up their problem, especially when we were sitting and talking and all that. So I used to talk about the cosmic healing and all, which my Gurudev used to teach. That time he was very active on that. So I was talking about that, and somehow on one day there were people talking about this abuse and thing and all that, and they were taking it for granted, and they were saying that iska koi hal nahi hai, and this particular, like multiple sclerosis, the head has no cure and all that. And even the doctors there were baffled. They were giving something to just keep them sustained, and nobody was talking about finally coming out of it. So I denied that. In the crowd, there was a crowd that was discussing about it. Behind, I just it was not appealing to me. So somehow I talked in between one or two lines and said, it's not that. There are some aspects of your mind and all that that's doing and all that. Somehow that discussion got momentum, and by the end of that whole crowd gathering, I saw that most of the crowd had gone, but a big bunch of people were sitting besides me, and one was wanting to know more. What is this about and how this thing? So I told them about the project of Cure is Possible that my Gurudev was teaching at that time, and how he was dealing with it, how he was handling those things, and how deep these things are. Where the root lies. It is not in just the superficial what we actually talk about. And they found it interesting. So that night I remember we were having our glass of milk, and all were sitting around, and they were talking and talking and talking and talking. There was one person, one friend of mine, good friend, we became friends there, and he had multiple sclerosis. So he was like almost knowing that he is going to get better. So he was finding all the kind of ways, possibilities to see that how he is not going to get better. And or either preparing for how to get better. So it was like the mind had already decided that it is a progressive thing, and we are going to go towards that. Somehow this topic was something opposite to that, and he sat again there, and we were talking and talking and talking. Wanted to know more, and that day with the grace of my Guru, we were talking a lot, and there was a lot of energy bubbling up there. And then we didn't talk much about it, and I just said okay, and we stopped the discussion and we went away, because I didn't want crowd. But that day it just happened, and I was again in my aloof in my own world. But next day morning again, when I went to the dining hall for breakfast, I saw all of these guys were sitting there, and they were looking at this is the guy, let's catch him and find out more. They were like that. I said, what happened? Then I went there, and that guy told me, who had multiple sclerosis, and he had visited a couple of doctors. He had all on WhatsApp, all these doctors were on WhatsApp, and he was continuously chatting with them. And he was quite baffled that day. He told me, what did I do? I said, I did nothing. He said, no, you did something last night. I said, no, I didn't do anything. We were just talking about it. He said, this is not possible because today morning, every morning I go with a limp. There's a limp always. Little they walk and they go out of balance because the body is losing its balance, brain coordination. So he said, for the first time in my life, after so many months or years, he mentioned, I've been walking this way, but today when morning I went for a walk, there was no limp. And I was just walking I was aware of it, and something has happened. The limps I was getting, but it was after a long distance, not very frequent. Something has happened, I don't know what. I could immediately relate to what it is, and I told it's your mind. Because yesterday, till now, you were seeing there is no possibility, and yesterday we had a discussion where you saw there was a possibility. Because I was talking about my Gurudev, who always talks about possibility. There is a possibility. It is possible. He is always that way. So I was asserting on that manner, and that appealed to his mind. Somewhere in his mind, there was a click that, okay, this guy is talking so assertively, and he's talking with some background also about medical research done about it, because I was showing him on the website also about Gurudev's work is. That had appealed to his mind, okay, there is something, the cure is possible. There is something that is possible. That possibility gave him a good jolt. It changed his programming, and overnight it did something. I don't know if it was something more than that, because there was a lot of energy also that night, thanks to Gurudev, whatever it was. He found it very appealing. And the people around also who were there, because they had their own issues. And they found something, this is very soothing and this is very comforting. They saw that something is possible. From there, I lost my privacy, and every day evening, there were counseling sessions sitting there, and used to be always in people around and lectures going on, like we have in our life here now. So I began that there, because the full day there is nothing much to do. So we were talking more about these issues. Then what happened was, there were many of my friends whom we know, girls and boys all together, and beautiful people. I don't know from where we met, and we became a big family. And I think 2 weeks passed, and one girl approached me, and she used to be always quiet. A very bubbly, nice looking girl, and everything good with her, but something was haunting her literally. She was always in a kind of depressed mode. So whenever we met at the games, or whenever we met at the TV room, or whenever we met at the dining table or somewhere outside, she used to always quiet. And there was an auntie with her. We became very good friends. She was linked with Brahma Kumaris and all that, and we became good friends. So she used to be always close to her and with her. One day, and she never spoke to anyone. I used to, once or twice even I asked, don't you speak? She was like shy and not much interested. I said, okay, everybody's come for some of the other problems there. All are their problems. So we let her alone. That day, after a week or something, I think, one day she was sitting with auntie on the dining table, and she just said, I want to talk to you. I said, yes. Not here. Somewhere. I said, no problem, but let auntie be with us. Auntie also was there. Let her also be. She was okay with it. And then we chose a spot which was very natural, kind of among the trees and all that. And there was a lot of log, and there was no crowd there. The crowd was that side. We chose there one evening, and she sat there. She began speaking, and I was looking at her, because all this while I have seen her mom. So I had a different impression of her. And that evening she was very open, and she was very freely and very nicely talking. I said, wow, that's a good thing. And she began talking, and then she said, let me come to the point. I said, yes. She said, I am dealing with something which is very traumatic in my mind, and I can't get rid of this. It's got to do with the sexual aspects. I said, no problem, you feel comfortable and let me know. Whatever I can help you here, auntie is also here. Let me inform you about it. She began speaking. I was just watching the pattern of because whenever people talk, it's better more than their story. you look at the pattern and how they are reacting to it and what is their take on that. That's more important than the story. Because one story, if you give it to two people, their reactions are two entirely different. There the healing lies there actually. A lot of these things lie there. The solutions lie in there. So I was just watching and carefully observing her, and she went on telling. And I could see as she was telling, her breathing went very high, and she was like stressed, and she was very jittery, and she was not able to. And I knew that she's taking a lot of psychiatric pills. She was undergoing some deep depression and a lot of psychiatric medications every day. A heap of it. And probably that was numbing her. I asked, is this medicine numbing you? She said yes. I don't feel like talking, nothing. It just numbs me and I feel dead. Like brain dead almost. So she moves around like a vegetable. I said, that's horrendous. Why are you taking so much? I said, this is my issue. I can't handle this. And there's a lot of pain that is there in my mind and I can't get rid of it. I'm telling you all this in steps because most of us are going through all this. That is why I'm telling you in all these things in detail. It will help you gather up a lot of information from here and there on various circumstances and various people, various different types of the way they react to it. You can probably take help from it. She went on telling her breathing went on high and high and high, and she was feeling very warm and hot, and she was perspiring, and she had suddenly anger, a lot of anger. She was talking in angry mode, and whatever she was talking was, she was like punching her hands, and she was punching and talking about her parents very ill, very bad. And probably she was again and again telling her parents don't understand, family doesn't understand, they don't care, nobody cares. She was talking about that. And I said, you tell me what actually caused you that. And she told, main thing that happened to me was this abuse. I am unable to go through it. But I believe you can help me. I said, yes, if you can honestly tell me. She said, yeah, I'm coming there. I've never spoken about this to anyone in my life, but I'm opening it to you. I don't know why. And she said, I had a boyfriend or something. Friend or boyfriend or something. And they were close together, and once, at one occasion, she just got raped by that person. And she was in shock, utter shock after that, because she was never expecting something like that. It was a person whom she trusted and confided very deeply. But it was that person took advantage of this person, this girl. She was, I believe, in her 25 or 28, in between that. Young, and she has a lot of things, life ahead, but she was stuck very badly. I think that had happened 2 or 3 years before, and from that time she has gone deeply into some kind of mode, but she was not understanding what. So probably she went to the psychiatrist seeking help for her mental trauma, because she couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat well, she couldn't do anything well, any work. She quit her job, she lost her job or something like that, and life just tumbled down. She went to the doctor to handle her mind. Give me some medicine for my mind, I can't sleep, thoughts, depression and all that. And the doctor was treating her for that. It amused me to even think of, why nobody is going deep into the issue and trying to deal with the issue than just treating the symptoms. And then I told her, what do you feel now? She was very angry. Though I knew what she's feeling. She was feeling very angry, she was feeling very frustrated, she was feeling very lonely, she was feeling very depressed, and she was feeling very nervous, she was feeling scared, and I could see she had a lot of guilt, lots of guilt. And the most thing that she was holding on to, what I saw in her pattern was, in her talks and in the way she was dealing with her body, was that she was feeling dirty. She didn't tell me this directly, but I could catch it from all various that she spoke to almost 2 hours, and I allowed her to speak, because I said, I'm not going to speak anything, you go ahead. I was encouraging because I wanted her to dump it out. All these years she was not, because even to a psychiatrist I think she has not opened up. Probably that confidence didn't come, and that had bottled up inside like hell, and she was suffering in her own hell. So I could understand that. made a toy and she burst out into tears. I said, go ahead, cry, no problem. I'll wait. We will listen. Auntie is also, and auntie was like shocked. She couldn't understand what to do. I just gestured to auntie, you just sit like a witness, nothing to do, just sit. And it went on for 2 hours. She completely poured out all her frustration, all her vented anger, and everything against the person. This was not the first time that I was dealing with this, because as I told, all my life I've attracted people who have very openly confided a lot of traumatic incidents in their life. Probably it's because of my own traumas and I have dealt with it. And after that, I spoke to her and I said, what do you want to do now? You have emptied. I understand you were treated very badly. I understand your situation. But somehow I was not pitying her. I was not victimizing her or making her feel victimized also. Nor I was talking anything about that person. Nor I didn't go to ask about who that person, what that person are. She was trying to tell me what the person is, who is, but I was not interested. I was more interested on this person who was undergoing that thing. Because the whole thing is about the person who is holding it. It is never about anybody else. Though others may have played an important role, a major role in causing that particular thing in somebody's life. But after the incident has happened, it's gone. It is no more about anybody else, even if the whole world believes that that person is the thing to blame. That's how the thing goes. Usually, the people who do such acts are blamed. And it's not wrong to blame. Okay, they have done wrong, they should be punished or whatever. But more than that, what I am trying to tell you is, we punish ourselves more than punishing that person. And in hope of punishing that person, we constantly punish her. This was what I was watching and observing in that girl. She was hitting her fist and she was like, all the F words and all the filthy words, she was screeching out, literally. She had gone beyond control. And I didn't want to stop her. Because suddenly when you have inflated a balloon, if you slowly leave, it will slowly get reduced. But if you suddenly leave, you will see it will just fly off the balloon. It goes berserk. This is what was exactly happening with this person also. So I just allowed those things. And more than anything was the vengeance that she was holding on to. There's a deep vengeance, a kind of revenge, an attitude of revenge that she was trying to seek. And her biggest frustration was again because that revenge was not possible. So it had got bottled up so strongly that you want to punish somebody but you can't punish that somebody. So I casually asked, what is that person doing now? And she went again into rage, saying that enjoying life. The person is enjoying life. So the actual trauma was on that. I am suffering here and look at that person enjoying life. And that was again with the fist banging and all that. I won't spare that person. Repeatedly saying, I am not going to spare that person at all. It went to the extent of saying, I will kill him. The moment if I see him anywhere, I'll kill him. I said, why did you not do it at that time? She said, I was shocked. Because for days and weeks, I couldn't even accept that this thing has happened. And another big frustration was because she told at home, she shared at home. I asked her, why did you share it with me? She said, yes, I have done it with my loved ones. I said, what happened? She said, nobody cared. Most of them were talking like, this could have been your fault. They were blaming it back on her. That this is your fault, it has all happened because of you. So you are the person to blame. And most of the time they were not very serious about what to do about it. She approached them for actually some help so that that person can be punished. And here she's saying that her loved ones are actually punishing herself. Telling you are to blame. That caused a lot of pain again. Because somebody seeking help and then they are getting bombarded from that. So it was like all the avenues had shut down. there was nowhere to share on this particular thing or talk to and all that. So that remained bottled up so badly until now. So here at this moment was the 2 hours of release, complete release. And I could see bouts of crying. There was bouts of crying, there was fit of rage, and then was again self-pity mode, the poor me mode, then again back to rage and anger, and then frustration to even kill, and then again going back to again nobody is understanding me and nobody is there. And again a feeling of despair and loneliness. So I was deeply observing how traumatic it is for a person who has undergone this kind of an abuse, an assault. Very difficult, very, very difficult. So you can relate and see how it might be easy for us to speak, but if we are in that position, it is so traumatic. So the people who have been through this kind of a trauma, almost all their life, they spend in vengeance and they spend in guilt. Like this particular girl I was saying, she had this constant feeling of feeling dirty. And that had changed her life. She had put on weight. She was saying I was so beautiful and so easy life going, and everything was so beautiful. And health was good. But after that, everything, all sort of illnesses has come and manifested into her. The body weight has increased. And she says, my looks have changed, my hair has gone this way and all that. And what is happening is, she was herself manifesting it. Now, I didn't want to tell her that you are doing it and it's because of you, because she had already had that kind of a trauma where people are blaming her and shaming her. That you are the cause. Though spiritually we know that we are the cause for anything, but I knew that was not the right time to tell her that. So I just waited for the whole thing. And that feeling of dirtiness, that had changed her habits and attitudes, like having bath 3 times a day, 4 times a day, constantly cleaning herself. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders come out of these things. Continuously washing her hands, trying to be clean, face wash and face, all those things, scrubbing and all that. So that time also when she was talking, that aggression was so much that she was feeling mucky. And she was feeling, I feel filthy, I feel dirty. So after she had emptied her old stuff, I'm again talking to you all this in detail. Treat this like a therapy. All those people who have undergone abuse. I know there are a lot of people who undergo abuse, because most of them do not talk about this, especially such kind of an assaults. They never talk about it. They are not in a position. Our society doesn't accept all these things. So they suffer silently. It could be this or any other kind of abuse also that you have undergone. So I'm just trying to open up the layers and present to you one case study which I personally encountered and was able to help there. So I'm sharing that with you for that reason. So for the 2 hours, all those things went, and she was crying, and then she was looking when some solutions might come up. I didn't say anything. I said, you finish up everything. And some things it was not complete, so I used to trigger that place. I used to poke again and pinch in that place and make her feel that emotion and make her cry. Many times I triggered her crying again, so that because nothing should be remaining, everything should be completely come out. And she was very comfortable in that space because auntie also was there. We were listening, and finally there was somebody to listen to. This is one major thing for all the trauma guys who have undergone trauma and they want to share something. They have no listeners. People advise immediately, or people give judgments or opinions or whatever, and the thing doesn't complete there. The purpose is not fulfilled. Listening is an important thing. Listening is understanding. Listen, that is more than enough. It's understanding. Whether you give the solution or no, it's not a thing. So there I was just puncturing all her pus that gathered, that had accumulated here and there. And then finally, when she had a lot of that punching and hitting and screaming and abusing and all this, she was abusing like anything. I said, go ahead, do it, abuse, no problem. Finally, when she was tired, at the end of 2 hours, she was tired. She just sat down. I'm feeling tired. I said, okay, now we'll part now here, and probably in the evening we will meet again. And I will talk to you something, some things that you will have to do to help yourself. It is understood that you have been in a very pathetic situation and all these things have happened. But now, she said, no, if you can tell me now, I said, I can talk to you now about it. But I would like you something that can alter your inner spirit. What is that? I said, it's about meditation. I can't do that. I've tried it. It's very impossible. I said, yes, you can't do it because you are filled with so much. It won't give you a chance to even go a little inside. But I'm sure with step by step, it will seep in slowly. But you got to do it. I can teach you in some manner. You got to carry it on. And then I told her, what are you going to do if you meet that person? She said, I'll kill. I said, okay, you kill that person. After killing, what are you going to feel? Is that going to solve your solution? Is that the solution? Is it going to solve your problem? Or do you say that if you kill that person, you are finally relieved and all your pains will go, you are going to go off all the medications, no counseling, nothing is required, and all the problem is solved? He was thinking for a while. I said, think deeply and see what will happen. Think that you have done that act. Think that you have killed that person. Now what? She was again in a depressive state. She went into tears again. Oh, what should I do then? So that was a clear understanding that is not the solution. She herself said that indirectly. Then now, then what to do? So I said, now you understand that killing or harming that person is not. Yes, but my problem is that person is enjoying life. That person, whenever I come to or hear of that person, he doesn't have even an ounce of guilt or something. He's enjoying life and he has moved on. And here he has destroyed my life. Now, destroyed my life is a perception of our own. Is how we condemn ourselves, we judge ourselves. We have put the final opinion that somebody has destroyed our life, and then we say, okay, this is the end. Now that person has destroyed my life is gone for a toss, and whole life now I'm going to sit blaming that person, that my life is gone because of that person. And then when the whole lifetime passes and then you come to know that that person whom I'm blaming all my life, this is the culprit, and then when you see that person very happy and nothing has happened to that person, and that person has gone ahead much in life, right? And you are here in a shabby condition. The trauma that time that person feels is more disgusting, because all the time you have been seeking punishment and you're praying literally to get that person into deep modes of suffering. You want to see that person suffering, and now you're seeing that person happy. Nothing more punishment than that. So you have already spent your life in trauma, and then again now when you keep on, every time that person comes in front, it's going to re-trigger all those emotions and going to make you feel bad to miserable. I made her understand this when she had calmed down, not when she was in a jittery mode. She was understanding it. So I said, please understand, it is not about the person, though yes, that person did a wrong thing, but there are deeper things to this. Now it is all about how you are going to handle that emotion. No doubt you want to take some revenge, or you want to put a legal thing, whatever that thing. She said, that's not possible because there's no proof and all those things. That's more disgusting now. So it was like, all way she was attacked. She wanted to punish, but there's no proof. She wanted support, but the family is not supporting. In every way she was traumatized. And finally, this guilt and this feeling of being abused, or feeling dirty, somebody has dirtied my life. People with abuse, especially the sexual abuse and all that, the deep feeling is that something has dirtied them. The life is dirtied or polluted to a point that it cannot be now cleansed, because it's like in our society we say it's like a dabba. Once a seal is fallen, then you are forever condemned for that. Then I made her understand that's not how it is deeply. If you can trust me, that's not how it is. I said, nobody can pollute anybody's physical body. It is a feeling. Most of the time, see, if you also relate and see, you do some sin in life, you do something wrong, or you have a bad thought, for example. It is very obvious for a human being to feel dirty. Like you are meditating, and then all the dirty kind of thoughts come in. Suddenly you will feel that your body is dirty. You feel like going and having a bath, taking a bath. You might not feel refreshed until then. Something you want to get cleansed. Most especially those who are very conscious about spiritual life, they will feel very dirty when such a thing happens. They want to go and wash themselves out. And this is the act that most of the people do. They feel they want to get cleaned before doing something. So most of the people, even in rituals and even in morning meditations or mantra or puja or whatever, the belief is that you got to cleanse your body. Yes, that is for physical hygiene. Yes, hygiene is required. But the feeling that the internal subtle things also will get cleansed is a myth that you got to be very conscious, be aware. Most of the time we cleanse our body thinking that everything in our mind also will purify when we take a bath. You go into the river, you see what happens. You think and see very carefully. It is not the physical dirt. Hardly you must be having any physical dirt. But it is more of that refreshed feeling that you want to, bathe your whole inner soul. It feels like that. So I told her it's a myth to feel that your body can be polluted by anything or anyone. See, the act that happened that day was an assault. It is the same intrusion when you have it with permission. You are okay with it and you give permission, and then you have a partner where this intrusion happens. Both cases the intrusion has happened. In both cases the body is not polluted. It's a natural process of the body for all these things to happen. It's a process, it's a prakriya. Because the body is generating dirt and cleansing itself again. If you talk about this dirt, there is more dirtier things than that. Like for example, in your body you carry saliva, you carry semen, you carry stools, you carry sweat, you carry all kind of dirty things all in your body, and you're moving around thinking this to be holy. You take a bath and you go and sit in a temple. And now I'm clean after having a dip in the river. But you forget that your intestines are holding the large quantities of stool there. Still, there is a lot of mucus everywhere. So much kind of mucus everywhere all over the body. The sweat and pus and the urine and it's even in the blood, and so many are actually the human body is filled up with all this. So it is our psychology. We don't think about it. We feel that some one act has happened and it has polluted the whole body and dirtied the whole thing. Whereas the whole thing is dirty, and it's a natural process. This is how the body works. It gets filthy, it gets purified, it gets filthy, it gets purified. It's got both. It's running all the time. You cannot be always fully pure. This body cannot be fully pure until you have achieved something called a light body. This is already a different process almost. We are not talking about that. Very rare state that is. Till then the body is going to undergo this. So first, those who have undergone this kind of a trauma should take off this feeling of feeling polluted or filthy, dirty. There is nothing dirty. Everything is in the mind. And as your mind creates, your whole body and your whole life reacts according to that. So you will always feel filthy. And you will always try to cleanse yourself in so many ways. Physically. What I am trying to tell you is, physical cleansing is not important. Your subtle cleansing is important. Because all these things are stored in your psyche, in your mind. They have gone into the recesses of your subconscious. There are the people where it has to be actually cleansed. So the mind body, we are talking about cleansing the mind body, the Manomaya Kosha, where all these imprints are there. For that, I told about this meditation process. So, meanwhile, slowly I was explaining these things to her. You're not dirty. It took a little time for her to understand, but she accepted it. Because it made sense to what we are speaking now on that terms. And I told it's not because just I am speaking, this is how it is. So you need not feel guilty about it. I told you there are two kind of acts. One is an assault and one is with mutual understanding. Both the act is there. Do you feel in the mutual, you don't feel dirty. Maybe you might feel at that moment and you cleanse yourself, you have a bath and you feel fresh again. You are not going to feel dirty forever. But why in this act? Because it is an intrusion to your free will. Somebody has intruded your, not taken your permission. And the ego mind gets hurt with that. So how dare somebody enter into my space without my permission and scatter all the things around me without my intent? So they feel that they have been used or abused. That feeling goes into your emotional body, the Manomaya Kosha, very strongly. That feeling of being abused in some way, misused in some way. And that anger triggers from there. How dare this person do that? How dare this person touch me? Because the constant words that she was using, how dare he, and he was punching literally. Even punching the concrete stuff. How dare he do that? How dare he touch? All those things. So you can see it was like an intrusion, especially those who are very protective about their spaces. And this happens, it's a big trauma. It's a big trauma. So what I'm trying to say, it is more than the physical aspect of being dirty or anything. It's more that your mind has been polluted, your emotions have been played with. So, and now if you realize this and if you understand this much, then the next step is, now how do I get rid of this? Because until I get rid of this muck is going to stay within me and going to haunt me and is going to ill-treat me and is going to manifest into so many kind of problems for me. So I told her the working of the mind, how it is. Because if you hold this kind of a vibration within you, of constantly, she had this guilt of being lonely, this guilt of not being understood, this guilt of being abused and punished, and this guilt of being dirty. All this was carried with her. Now I said, if these emotions are in your mind and body all the time, you are emitting it all the time. So I asked, was this the only incident that has happened? And not to my surprise. I was not surprised because I deliberately asked this question. He said no. I've had a couple of other incidents also where people have tried to take advantage of me, similar manner, but this was the worst one. This turned into as an assault. The other were not assault, it was kind of an abuse that was happening. I don't know, I get all these kind of people in my life. My life has been mucky, my life has been so stressed that I lost hope in everything. It's such a dirty life, So she had condemned herself because of some repeated patterns happening in her life, and I pointed out to her, it is because of this. Why this repetition is happening? Because you are holding this kind of set vibrations within you. The anger towards such things, the guilt towards such things, the non-forgiveness, the revenge, the intention of hurting someone, or the intention of feeling I am always the victim, or the intention of the feeling that the whole world is bad or men are bad, and she had this deep disgust for men. This is why in that retreat she was not talking to anybody except auntie and two other females. No men she was close to. And she revealed that day, I hate men. I can't stand them, including my own brother and my father. See how the emotions are. Everything changed her life, her aspect towards it. Their gender was cursed, literally. She was cursing, literally. Men are this kind. Men are animals. You're saying they are animals, literally animals. It's due to the deep trauma. But what I'm trying to say is, the energy pattern that you're holding, that men are ferocious. They attack. They attack vulnerable people. And I am always in this kind of situation. I am always punished. I am lonely. I am alone all the time. There is no one to listen. All these patterns are sending. And what she's doing is she's attracting similar kind of attraction, similar kind of situations in her life. I told her, I pointed out, see, you mentioned at least 3-4 incidents where you were abused in this manner. And this was the highest. Please understand, I'm not talking to you on the point from shaming yourself. Please, and when your people told you are to blame, maybe you were wearing that kind of clothes, or your actions were that way, or your speech was that way, or you were not careful, something that attracted. Maybe they are talking in that terms. I am not pointing to that. Those are again external outcomes again of something more deeper. Like you might act in certain way to somebody. When they say you attracted somebody, it is because there is some kind of a vibration within you that is actually manifesting into that action or that behavior, and that attracts similar kind of people. So if you always say I am a lonely person, you will attract all circumstances where you feel lonely. Even if you have people around you, life will make it all possible to keep you lonely because you like being lonely, or you feel too much that it is your right to be lonely, or you are condemned yourself to be lonely. Then we say men are ferocious. All men are like that. So you are carrying that vibration. So anywhere you go, you will see and project that. And mind you, in the crowd, in the whole world around, only the people who are mean, who are supposed to take advantage of somebody's loneliness, somebody's vulnerability, there are all kind of people around. But such people will be automatically drawn towards your frequency because that is the frequency you are emitting. Like attracts like. This is the law of attraction. So I just alarmed her that this is very alarming for you. This is not for what the other person, I am not even talking about for the other person. I am trying to tell you, you are punishing yourself in the hoax feeling, in the myth that you feel that you are punishing somebody else. You feel that if I believe like this, if I behave like this, if I am crying, or if I am miserable, or if I commit suicide, I am going to punish that person. No way. You already said that person is enjoying life and has moved on and having they don't care a damn about you. Are you getting it? They are not going to be affected in any way. But all the time, 24/7, who's suffering? You are suffering. Please understand that the vibrations that you're holding is that there are other kind of people also. Let's say that male is somebody who's very guilt conscious and they did an act. There are male who feel very sorry about it and they are unable to forgive themselves. After such assaults it happen. There are even male who do not want to forgive themselves and they live in remorse conditions and they go depressed and they have a lot of traumas again. Because some urges made them do that and then they are now regretting it. So they live in guilt. Now why is one person in guilt and one person scot-free? It is the mental attitude of that person. How that person's characteristics is, the personality is, depending on that, the outcome of life. One person has lived from childhood to bigger bindas, I don't care, attitude. So he does anything and he is going scot-free. And he has no guilt. And no guilt, he is living a fair enough life. Because he is attracting those kind of things. Now you might say, where is the justice? Justice is something else, we can talk about later. Now the other aspect, the other person, the other male person, who is feeling remorse and guilty, is now self-punishing already. And living in remorse and undergoing that kind of a depressive state. Now from this end you can see that person is already suffering. I might not want to give any more punishment. You might feel pity again. There are cases where this whole thing also happens. Or say, let's say that boy takes a drastic step there, and then you're saying, I got justice. Most of the time, our definition of justice is to give similar pain to that person. That is we call as justified. Or what trauma has caused my life that they should also undergo. What I'm trying to say in the spiritual, because these are all spiritual talks that I'm saying, so I'm not talking on the casual level. There are higher justice. Whether we do justice to it or not, there is a justice system that always works with the law of karma. That's what I'm trying to say. Even if you do justice or don't do justice, the laws of nature is not bothered. It will enact its own play without your thing. But the only thing is, problem is, if you get indulged in it, you go to give out punishment to somebody, then now you are undergoing your trauma, and then you go and inflict trauma on somebody else. Now that repercussion also you're going to bear it today or tomorrow. Are you getting it? So it's a very, very deep kind of a loophole that you're falling into. It's a quicksand that you'll get sunk into slowly but surely. If there is no awareness about this. So the people who have been assaulted, what is to be done? First thing is take care of yourself. First and foremost is take care of yourself. Forget about punishing somebody else. If you don't punish also, life will take its own toll. Whenever and however. Remember one thing, everything is law of karma. Everything is give and take. All these incidents that happen in your life is a give and take. There is nothing unfortunate. There is nothing out of fluke. In nature, there is nothing out of fluke that happens by just like that. There is a deep meaning to something that happens. So if a trauma has happened in your life, there is a link to that trauma. It is something that has come to you from something which you have probably forgotten. Maybe in this lifetime's past or in the past lifetimes. Something that you have given to someone is come back to you now and you are paying a price. That is how perfectly justified is the universal justice. We do not know about that. We sit with our own judiciary here because we are only, it's like a frog's well. Only the frog knows only about the well. It doesn't know about the outside infinity. It thinks the well is the infinity. So all the judiciary and all the what you call tit for tat and all the punishments and all the contentment that you get, it's all in that well. Whereas a seeker, spiritual seeker, someone who has got out of the well and they know the infinite things and they know that there is a huge system in place which is automatically taking place. When they know there is a huge system, natural universal system on which the whole life system on earth is acting, because now you have elevated your consciousness, you can see that you are in that state of awareness. Gross will not understand it, those who are in the gross consciousness. He was in the gross consciousness, so it was difficult for me to make, but slowly I was trying to convey this to her. In this video also I am trying to do the same. So at a certain level of consciousness, when you see that the system is taking care of your everything perfectly, you will also know that if something is happening to me, I have only be the cause somewhere or the other. Okay, now the trauma has happened to me, now what? Now the thing is, okay, it is my tit for tat what has happened. When I know very surely nothing happens by fluke, then I accept that and I say, okay, now is my thing to release that thing. Let me put an end to this cycle, because if I don't put an end to it, now if I turn to retaliation to that person, then probably it will get carried on. Or if I hold all my life guilt and anger and vengeance towards that person and I die without releasing it, what will happen is probably in my next life I will meet that person and the same sexual assault or the rape will happen. I will be the doer then. This is how it repeats, because the same kind of infliction, the same kind of pain has to be given as a lesson to the other person so that they understand how it feels. This is how the law of karma works. When a trauma happens, why it is given? It is given so that you will now understand how it feels firsthand. When you hurt somebody, you don't know. So nature gives it back to you in some way and says, this is how it feels to that person. Are you getting it? So that trauma which has happened, I now feel. So, but evolved being will say, now I feel, I have understood, I have realized, I said, oh my God, this feels horrendous. So if this feels horrendous, this should not be given to anybody else. So I stop that loop. And I ensure that now I will not pass on this kind of a pain or trauma to anybody else. I'm very conscious about it. Because if I do, then I am in the loop system again. I will give it and then it will come back to me. No. So with evolved, the people on the path of evolution, it is easy to speak this, but on the path who are very new to all these things or who are in the grosser level, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult to counsel people on that. Thankfully, that day, the energies and things were very supportive. I could see everything was very conducive and supportive. Probably that was a time for her to release. And then in the evening we met and I taught her some meditations. Auntie also was there and I taught her how to meditate. The first meditation that I was talking about was forgiveness. The moment I talked about forgiveness, it was a very big jolt. Forgiveness, no way. Then I again had to calm her down and tell that if you don't, you are going to suffer. That person is never going to suffer. Are you getting it? Whether you punish him externally or not, you are going to suffer very badly, and you are already suffering. You have manifested all kind of problems in your life, all kind of diseases into your body, and who is going to suffer with all these diseases that you have manifested now? You are going to suffer. You are going to bear the thing. Do you want that? Do you want to take all these pills? Do you want to take all these treatments for lifelong and be stuck in it forever and have sleepless nights and go into all these kind of bouts of depression and all these panic attacks? She used to continuously have panic attacks. So many times she used to go into a jittery panic attack. And she used to get up and excuse herself and say, I'm going, please excuse me. I knew that it is a panic attack that's happening. So I reminded, do you want to get actually into these things? Do you want to remain your life this way? I'm sure it's not. Because if you really wanted, then you wouldn't have asked for a solution. And talking these things out, expressing yourself, and revealing or sharing or pouring out all these things of your life, it itself is an indication that you want help, you are seeking help. And when that help is now coming to you, as a result of your seeking, please accept it, please take it. It will only do good to you. Cut off from the cycle, please. And you will see life is beautiful. The moment I assured her, the moment you release that trauma, you heal yourself completely. You will see that life will become beautiful. Your body will change. You will become more beautiful again. Because now you are starting to believe that you're healed, you're clean, And that cleanliness, that emotion should now radiate out of you. I'm clean. You can be clean. Believe me, you can be clean. All the people who have undergone assault always have a strong feeling now it's all over. They have become unclean. No, I'm telling you, no way. Your body, your organs, every week to months, they keep on changing. You have a new liver in a couple of months. You have a new set of bones in a couple of months. New skin, all the organs that you see are rejuvenating. Do your research and see. Every organ rejuvenates itself. So, if you see in a couple of months, like let's say in a 6 months to 9 months, you are completely a new person. If you allow that new thing to happen to you. If you don't allow, if you hold the old muck in it, then the new thing that comes also, you're going to dirty it. A new stomach lining that happens, you're going to dirty it. If there is a problem in the stomach, there is some disease in the intestine, it is coming from a root cause of that emotions, trauma, or something that is subtle. That is causing the disease in that intestine. And now the intestine is physically changing because it is supposed to renovate itself. It is renovating, but you are still putting the dirt into the new cells also. That is how the disease is sustained there only. Though the organs are changing. This is the main point that Gurudev asked. If the cells are every time dying and new cells are forming, fresh cells, which is pure again, why is the disease still there? Same thing. Because it is emitting the same, the sanskaras, the psychic impressions are emitting the same kind of vibration and it is polluting that. This I had to make her understand. This is what is happening. So if you want to actually rejuvenate, then you should allow yourself to heal completely in all the months of activities that you're doing. Whatever you do, meditations you do, whatever sadhana you do, whatever purification work you do, panchakarma you do, everything is a process of cleansing. But with that cleansing, your mind has to be cleansed first. Because if your mind is not pure, the manomaya kosha will influence what? The pranamaya kosha. If the prana is dirty, impure, definitely that prana is going to create problems in your body. Full no supply of prana will definitely create illness in your body. That is how the body becomes impure. Where is the root from the prana? Where is the root of the prana? It's in the mind. Manomaya kosha. Now again deep if you want to go. What is influencing the mind? It is the Jnanamaya kosha. What is in the Jnanamaya kosha? All the karmas of all the lifetimes. See, this is how the justice is done. All the justice is done this way. So the karma is influencing your mind. Your own karma is influencing your mind, catching hold of your mind, making you feel miserable, making you feel in such a way. And then the mind acts on your prana, and the prana acts on your body, and that is how the diseases come. And that is how you're taking all these pills, my dear, I said. She was amazed with this piece of information. It helped her a great deal, but she found it very difficult. She could not sit. I was feeling so bad. 2 sessions I tried to have that, she could not sit. But the moment she closed her eyes, and she used to go into panic and anxiety, and that shows how deep that trauma was. It was an assault again. I can imagine what happens to people who undergo these kind of traumas. Very traumatic, especially the rapes. It's very, very traumatic. But somehow, if they can be counseled in this manner, it's very difficult because they do not have an inclination towards the higher consciousness. It's very difficult because they will be stuck in that consciousness. Perhaps that is how life punishes. Because if they want to get you out of it, if the karma wants to get you out of it, it will bring across that kind of, like in this incident. It was a time to release. That is why there was somebody sitting and explaining these things to. And this is how we attract people also. If some punyas or good things are there, we attract so much of help all over the world. When you go, you meet people or something happens, something that will help you towards that. We create. It is not the other person who does it. We only have invited that person also, that kind of an incident in our life. All this I was giving an example. It's not that you're bad. It's not that you're dirty. Because see, if you were, then only bad things were, but so many beautiful things are happening in your life. Including this situation right now. It's a major time for you to release. It's the most beautiful thing that's happening right now. And this wouldn't have happened if you are a dirty person. Something in you, something nice in you has attracted this. Be appreciative, have gratitude towards that. So forgiveness was what I taught her, but she was not able to do it. But there was very less time, but I told keep on doing it. Keep on doing it until you throw all your pills away. You should throw all your pills away. Don't live on the pills. You can do it. The pills are because you are unable to forgive that person. Do it. It is possible. And release that person. If you don't do it, I told again, what will happen is you will carry that impressions within you, and you will keep attracting such men in your life who will repeatedly assault you. I've seen so many people who have repeated life incidents again and again, and they don't learn out of it. Same incident, they will undergo trauma. They have not learned lessons, and they will carry the same kind of psychology, same kind of mentality, same personality, same attitude, behaviors. They will move on, and they will attract exactly similar situation in their life, and they will repeatedly undergo the same life situation again, and again feel remorse about it, again move on with the same kind of negative impressions with them, and then attract same kind of people, similar kind of incidents in their life. And then by the end of the life, they say my life was a hell, and my life was miserable because of this person, that person, that person. Actually, no person, no circumstances has affected your life. It is your own doing. It is all our own doing. It is our own inability not to learn the lessons from the mistakes we have done. If we carry on with the mistakes, with the arrogance that I am right always and whatever I do is right, okay, nobody will stop you. But nature will keep on sending you similar people and circumstances where it will give you opportunities to learn. Say you have not learned, okay, take one more lesson. Oh, this was hard, take one more. Till you learn, this will go on. So if you ask me how long, it might take a whole lifetime, or it can take lifetimes. There are people who spend multiple janmas learning one life incident. Like for example, people may have 10 janmas, and all the 10 janmas, they will have that repeated pattern of same things happening in their life. When will it end? When the person decides no more. When they say, I am the creator of my own destiny, I am 100% responsible for my own life, when that responsibility comes in, then they will stop blaming any external circumstances. They will even thank the people who came and caused trouble in their life, because they know it's their prarabdha, somebody has come and finished something and gone. So they will send that person with a bye. If somebody has come in their life and gone, they will not hold them. Everybody boasts of saying that, no, that person has come in my life, now I've forgotten that person. That person is out of my life. I am telling you, it's impossible. You might mentally or physically just say that that person is out of your life and you say no more in it. But whole moment, all your life, you are carrying that person in your mind. Physically that person is not there or the situation is not there, but 24/7 that mind is rotting within you and it is creating all kind of problems within you. And this girl was undergoing the same thing. All the doctors, all the bad medical illnesses that she had, everything, all her traumas, was her. I'm not saying that to blame her, but it was her reluctance to accept and learn the lesson and go beyond it. How do we say we learned lesson? When we have become clean. How do we know that the karma is over? When you can sit in silence and think about that person and no reaction comes to your mind. That is the time you have released it. So till that doesn't happen, you got to do all these practices. You got to meditate. You got to heal. You got to forgive. You got to do all the things that might be very painful, but it is for your own good. Especially the victims of rape. This has to be done. Otherwise, it's very, 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 very difficult. It's very traumatic. There is no point in taking medications all your life and taking support, being on antidepressives. The biggest problem is they cannot speak to anyone. So, the whole thing that I was talking is from this one message that I got from this person who openly said to what has happened to her, this rape that has happened to her. And the beautiful thing that she wrote in this was, it will help me heal this situation. And then she said, maybe now I can find the compassion to heal this. Heal what? Heal the assault, the trauma that she's undergoing. And then further she said something very beautiful, which I said, this person is 100% going to heal herself. She said, furthermore, I will find compassion for those who cannot control this urge. What a most beautiful. It's a big-hearted, this person is very big-hearted. A situation like a sexual assault has happened to her. She has carried it all her life. And seeing my video last time I posted on that urges, she said this is helping me heal this situation. But more than that, she said, furthermore, I am hoping to find compassion for those who cannot control this urge. She's trying to talk about that person who assaulted her. Saying that, let my heart now find compassion for that person who cannot control that kind of an urge. What made her say that? Because she now understood. Because last time I was talking about the sexual urges. I said why it happens, how it happens. So if you understand that, she got an understanding. Oh, now I understand what must have happened to that person. Why did he behave in that way? After seeing that video. See how beautifully she has connected. Everybody says I am healing. Now she has had a major breakthrough. She said now I am understanding what that urge caused that human being to become an animal. It is that urge. That urge has done. So indirectly what is she trying to say? She's trying to say that that person is not to blame actually. That person is innocent. But the mentality or the attitude that that person has got, that urge that came in, that powerful, sexual urges are very powerful. That urge made that person to become an animal. You see most of the people who are condemned on this, most of the time they regret. They cry over it. They don't know what happened. It's something has taken over. Actually, I shouldn't be saying this video, but let me add. Since these videos are seen by spiritual seekers, it is better to add. In the grosser world, this will not be accepted. These kind of urges are also taken advantages by the subtle world. In the subtle world, there are a lot of souls that are moving around without the body. Especially the souls who have been deprived of this urge or who have not fulfilled their urges. Now, We all know that when the soul is without a body, it will seek a body. Even if somebody wants to enjoy eating, you need a body. Without a body, you can't do it. But normally, it will stick to somebody who is in a very low state of consciousness and try to appease themselves through that body. And these are very desperate beings. They do not know. They just stick on to a person and they can't make the act. And that is why if you see most of the people who are condemned with them, they are in a state of shock. They don't know what happened. Most of them. They don't know what has happened. This is something over to us. So these cannot be talked in casual terms, so I am not going very deep into it. But for spiritual seekers, you will be able to understand that probably this person is talking from that action. That that person, maybe I'll now find compassion for that person, to forgive that person, because now I might understand about that person's urges has done it. That urges has done it, not that person. This is a very powerful statement because it will help you forgive. The persons who are thinking in this manner, it is very easy to forgive. You sit with 2 or 3 sessions of your healing that person, send energy to that person, disconnect the connection that you have with that person, forgive that person and say, okay, we are done with it. Whatever you had to teach me, you taught me. Whatever I had to share with you, I had shared with you. We are done with it. I have learned my lesson. I release you from my life completely. And I free you, I liberate you, and let this karmic cycle end here. The moment you do that, the cord is disconnected. The karmic cord is disconnected from that person. And that is how you take responsibility and heal yourself. For that healing, you need a big heart like this person is saying. After this kind of a trauma. So I said I must make this video in detail to explain with all my experiences. I have had a lot of people who have shared in my whole lifetime, especially the girls from that side, who have opened up and talked about this. Probably because they find that, okay, somebody is hearing. People don't open up until they know that energy is sensed that, okay, somebody is ready to listen before condemning them. So if you are around such people, or if you know somebody who are affected, your friends or family members, somebody, this is the approach that you need to give them. Slowly, but it might not immediately happen because it might depend on how deep the trauma is and how their belief systems are and what is the inclination for themselves to take responsibility and come out of it. Most of the time, many people, when they say take responsibility, they'll feel, oh no, I am to blame. Everybody's blaming me. Everybody's blaming. I am to blame. No, we are not talking about self-pity here. So we got to see on what stages are they and then offer our kind of support. So you can always tell them how to heal themselves first. Forget about punishing others. We first tell them, you don't punish yourself, please. Forget about not punishing or punishing them, others. So this needs a lot of self-healing. So all the people who have been in any kind of abuse, even be it physical abuse or the mental or the emotional abuse, whatever you are undergoing, there needs a lot of healing. Self-healing for your own self. Before any condemnation, because there is no point in condemning anyone, there is no solution to it. That is why I asked that girl and said, if you punish that person, what is going to happen? If the law punishes that person, are you going to feel satisfied? You might feel, okay, it's done. But still, if you are continuing carrying the trauma within you and continuing carrying the disgust and the beliefs about that person or the gender or the act, then that will still continue causing trauma in your life. You are not liberated. Maybe you punish that person also, but you are not liberated. So what I am trying to tell you, whether you punish that person or not, that is not the main thing. You punish or you don't punish, that's another thing at all. The first thing is you don't punish yourself. That is the most important thing I want to say in this video. Liberate. Liberate all these traumas. Liberate all these things. Feeling of guilt, feeling of shame, feeling of what others say, feeling of blaming a gender or the whole situation in a certain way, and the beliefs that you carry in it. Remove. These are all deep-rooted beliefs. And I believe if you do it continuously, 6 to 8 months should be more than enough for you to completely get out of it, depending on your situation. So for this person who sent this message, it shows that she is on a journey towards self-healing. She has not completely healed, but something triggered within her, and it showed her some light that it can be done. So this video, day one, I have made it for you, especially for you, so that you can actually work on that and release it. Now you know all the techniques. Since you already are a meditator, you know how to heal this first in this manner. And with this, I believe this video should have helped all of you. And there are many people out there I know who don't speak about this, but this is for you again. If you have any doubts or questions on this which you feel you cannot put it on the public platform, you can always write to me at shiftingintoawareness@gmail.com, or you can message me through my platforms, whichever is best. Or if you feel you can boldly talk on this subject, or please do share, and please do put your comments in here. With lots of divine love and light to all of you.